Hi guys, and welcome back to another ITH video where today we are going to take our first look at a brand new Golf Mk8. Now my car, a Golf Mk8, is currently in for a service, so they very kindly lent me this for a couple of hours. So it's going to be a really quick video on a first look at the brand new Mk8. So first things first, and probably the biggest talking point of the new Mk8 is the new front end. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Please do comment in the section below, because it's warming on me. When I first saw it online and they were like, this is the new Golf Mk8, I've got to say I didn't like it one bit. It kind of looks like a sad dog. But the more I look at it, the more I like it, and especially the front end on the new GTi and GTe, I think looks stunning. On this, I still think it looks good. What they've done is that they've just smoothed it out a little bit. It still looks like a Golf, but it just looks a little bit more modern. The new LED lights are a must on this car. It's absolutely fantastic, I've been told. And as we come down to the side, well, things get even better actually. You get this lovely long line now that comes all the way down the center of the car and all the way to the back, which we'll have a look at in a minute. You get these funky wheels on this one, of course, with the different models, which we'll go through at the end. There are a few different options when it comes to wheels and bits and bobs. The side profile of this actually is pretty much exactly the same as the Mk7 and 7.5 with, as I said, this new added line. So as we come down to the side of the car here, you get this fantastic line which follows the door handles all the way along. And in the Mk7, it's stopped just about here. But in the new Mk8, it runs all the way down through the petrol cap and round to the back, which I have to say is probably the best bit of this car. So as we come round to the back, as I say, this light comes all the way around and follows round onto the rear lights, which I think looks really, really nice. Nice little styling addition there from VW. As we come down, well, we'll talk about what's down there in a second, because that's something I don't like about the back. We now get a Golf logo here, which I think is rather nice. We've never had that before, and it looks quite cool. Exactly the same boot mechanism as you'd find on the 7 and the 7.5. We'll talk about space in a second. There is, however, one thing I don't like about the back, and that is what they've done down here. Now, they've kind of got two exhaust cutouts, but there isn't an exhaust there, so that's kind of fake news, unfortunately. Boot space on the new Mk8, well, it's exactly the same as the Mk7, 380 litres, which is more than a Ford Focus, which is nice. But you do get the addition of this new floor, which is really cool. It's a split level, so you can either have it up here, which is easy to get things in and out, or you can lower it down to give you a little bit more room. Of course, as you'd imagine, seats go down to the back, very, very handy indeed. And talking of what's inside, well, let's jump in and have a look at the interior. So here we are in the new interior of the Mk8, and wow, yeah, quite a lot different in here. First of all, the seats. These are so comfortable, these seats. I love the stitching. They've managed to pretty much get a Volkswagen logo in the stitching on these seats. In the back, no need to go in there. It's exactly the same as the 7.5. When it comes to space on the new Mk8, well, there's plenty of it, as you'd expect with a Golf. Very practical, lots of space on the door bins, lots of space down here. Really funky cup holder that I like, will fit pretty much any size cup in there. You've got more storage in here under the armrest. Nice little, very, I suppose, sleek design here when it comes to the gear stick. And the old one, you had that big lever. This, you've just got the little, reminds me of Porsche's, actually, automatic gear selector down here. This does come in a manual as well. Lots of controls that have now basically moved inside the system. So where you'd usually find a lot of your driving controls down here, they're now in there, which I'm not sure about, to be honest. I quite like a button rather than having to mess around in here. Steering wheel, well, on the GTi and on the GTe, this is all touch panel. On here, it's an actual button. I much prefer the button on the touch panel. It just feels a bit weird, if I'm being completely honest. But most of what you need is here, and we'll talk about when we take it for a drive, the voice control, because that's quite handy. But how does it drive compared to my Mk7? Well, let's go out on the road and see. And thanks to the guys at BOTB.com, they have 2 Dream Car winners every single week as part of their Dream Car and Midweek Car competitions. Tickets start from just 85p, and you only need to be 17 or older to enter. As well as the 180 plus cars in the lineup, they've just added the new Mk8 Golf GTi. Check out the link in the description below and you could be next week's winner. So first thing about the new Mk8 Golf is actually the seating position. When you just get in it normally, it's really comfortable, but I'd quite like it to be a little bit lower. I have a funny feeling on the GTi and the GTE, I think the seats do sit a little bit lower, which is just something to bear in mind and something that I would suggest probably going out for a drive first before making your mind up on one of these. In terms of how it drives though, I've been driving it now for about 20 minutes before we started to record this video, and I really like it. The steering is so direct, the suspension is fantastic, but with the suspension, make sure you go for one of the models that is over 150 brake horsepower, as then you get the decent independent suspension. Below that, I don't think it would ride quite as well, but it's really nice. It feels a lot more solid than my Mark 7.5, and that's a pretty solid car. As I mentioned, the screen in front of you is absolutely fantastic. All the details you could possibly need on there, and with the buttons on the steering wheel, you can change the view as well, which is quite nice. A lot of new modern cars will do the same. There's actually one mode on here which basically has nothing on it, which looks a bit too simple for me. Literally just miles an hour in the middle, and it tells you that you're in drive, which is a bit odd to have literally no dials or anything in front of you. Most of the controls are now in the system, which is okay. I quite like more buttons, but there we go. You can, however, access a lot with the voice control, which works okay. 9 times out of 10, it has done what I've asked it to do. Let's see if it'll work now. Volkswagen, make me colder.
Sure, it will get cooler at the front right shortly.
And it's correct, because it knows where you're sat. If my passenger had asked it a question, it would then change it just for the passenger, which is quite cool, so it knows where you're sat in the car. So actually, it's pretty good so far. In terms of performance, well, there's a few different engines you can have in these, and I'll let you make up your mind as to which one you'd like to choose. This is a mild hybrid, and I tell you what, it's pretty nippy. I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised. I thought this might kind of just seem a little bit lackluster, but if you do kind of come down the gears a bit by using the paddles on the wheel and then stick your foot down, it's not bad. It does sound a bit like a Hoover, I'm not gonna lie, at high RPM, but it's pretty punchy when it comes to just getting you down the road. As with any Golf, lots of different options and extras you can bolt on here and there. This has got the panoramic sunroof, which I have to say lets so much light into the cabin. It feels so light and airy. I'm really a big fan of that. So that is something that you can probably look at if you did want to spec that on your new Golf. So I've just pulled over for a second to talk about the different models in the new Mk8 line, and we start with the Mk8 Life. Now this is 16-inch wheels, you get the 10 kind of colour ambient lighting system, and that's pretty much it. That starts at 23,300. You can then go up to the Golf 8 style, which this one is. You get slightly larger 17-inch alloy wheels. You also get a few more options when it comes to the interior lighting, so 30 different options as opposed to the 10. You also get carpet mats front and rear, which is a nice thing you kind of expect that they'd give with all the models. You then go up to the 8R line, so the Mk8 R line, which you get a slightly sportier exterior and interior. So you get the color-coded bumpers, which look a little bit different as well, and I think just give it a slightly more aggressive look. You also get driving profile selection, which is good, at 17-inch wheels on the R line. And then you can go up again to the GTi and the GTE. These are kind of their own separate line, I suppose, where you've got 18-inch wheels, and there's a couple of different options for the wheels as well. You get much more sporty design. The Mk8 Golf GTi rides a little bit lower than that of the GTE, reason being the GTE's got all of its batteries in the bottom, and they just raise it ever so slightly just to, I suppose, give it a little bit more ride height in case you do bottom out and you don't want to be damaging any of those batteries. They're rather expensive though, the Golf 8 GTE and the Golf GTi. GTi is about 35,000, just under 35,000, and then the GTE is 36,000, so nearly about £1,500 more than that of the GTi. You get a bit more technology, and with the GTE it's now the same power as the GTi, which is pretty incredible. So there we have it, a quick look at the brand new Golf Mk8. And please do comment in the section below. Do you like it, hate it? Do you think it might grow on you? A huge thanks to Windrush Volkswagen Slough for letting me borrow this car for a couple of hours. And a massive thanks as well to BOTB.com. They're the guys that give away 2 dream cars every single week. There are over 180 cars in the lineup that you can win. And of course, tickets start from just 85p. They have 2 winners every single week. It's mad. Have a look at the website, BOTB.com. All the winners are on there. And we'll see you back here on the ITH channel for more content real soon. Bye for now.